and support, love as part of their family.
It has a positive ring to it, doesn't it?
Yep.
A chosen family. There's something so proactive about it and something endearing as well.
Yes.
So that's becoming more popular. Hence, we're talking about it this morning.
Exactly. So a non-family household refers to a residence consisting of no more than 5 people who are not related to each other by blood.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So this could mean your love interest who you haven't married yet or don't want to get married to.
Or even several friends living together under the same roof. Like you mentioned, couples who are not legally married. Now, such households topped 300,000 in 2017. Back in 2016, the number stood at somewhere in the 200,000s. The figure then surpassed 400,000 in 2020. And the number of people who are members of these non-family households then exceeded 1 million last year.
That's really big jump.
So that's a surge by 74% compared to 2016.
Okay, so now we can kind of call it another new normal, if you will.
I think
that's
so.
a pretty massive jump. Hard to ignore, eh?
Yes. An official of the statistics agency said households of various forms are growing as more people live with each other with whom they have no blood relation. I'd really be interested in, reading about this a little bit more, why this trend is happening right now in South Korea.
Right. I mean, it could be the financial constraints. I know we always get to that, but that's kind of a defining element if you think about when and how or what kind of family you would want to start, right? So this is kind of the modern Korean family.
Yeah, I think so. And this is why many people are starting to voice the need to revise laws and regulations in a manner that reflects such changes in what constitutes family or what constitutes a household.
Absolutely. It does have to be reflected in policies. I mean, if you look at, I guess France is a pretty famous example, right? I mean, you have someone of your love interest who you live with for a very long time, then should they be respected as a spouse or an equivalent, right? These are the kind of regulations
there is
that
a
we
law
have
in France that actually supports those kinds of relationships.
Exactly. It greatly differs from South Korea. Apples to oranges, perhaps. But I mean, these are the conversations we need to have. I know this is pretty dark for first thing in the morning, but it's also about who gets to be part of the funeral procession.
That's right.
And these are all important discussion topics going forward. The modern Korean family.
Yeah.
That could be a new sitcom.
Yes.
If you want to talk about normalizing it, that might be a way to do it. Now, there's nothing normal about this next story. I'm trying to make sense of why, but it's clearly gone viral because it's shocking for a number of different reasons.
Yeah. So the police are currently investigating a man and a woman. They rode through the Gangnam area for hours, actually, for 3 hours on a motorcycle over the weekend.
Sounds fine for now.
Yeah, sounds fine for now. But at the time, the man didn't have a shirt on. He was topless. And the woman was dressed in a rather, it was a bikini, but it was a scanty bikini.
It was very revealing for both the man and the woman on the motorcycle.
That's right. Now, the Seoul Gangnam Police Station is mulling over the possibility of bringing the charge of indecent exposure and exhibitionism against this bikini biker couple under the Minor Offenses Act.
They're trending, aren't they, as
they
a bikini
totally
biker
are
couple?
Trending online.
And I'm sure they're facing a lot of criticism, as you can imagine. I'm just thinking about safety. That just sounds so unsafe to me on a motorcycle, so exposed. But tell us more about the act and also what kind of punishment might they face if they are in fact charged?
So according to Article 3, Section 1, Clause 33 of the Minor Offenses Act, anyone who intentionally exposes their private parts in public and causes feelings of embarrassment and discomfort to other people may be fined up to 100,000 won, which is very small compared to laws outside of Korea. I mean, in the U.S., I read that it starts at $1,000.
Exactly. Depends which state and which city you're in.
Yes.
However, it's not $100.
No.
That feels kind of like a slap on the wrist, eh? What needs to be proven in order for this man and the woman on the bikini biker couple to be charged?
4 things need to be proven. 1, the exposure of private body parts. 2, that the exposure was willful. 3, the exposure in a public place. And 4, exposure in the presence of another person, meaning that somebody actually saw them expose themselves.
Okay, so that's a pretty extensive list if you think about it. You have to check off all of that list, right? Okay, so by public place, exactly, how do you define it? I mean, they're on a moving vehicle.
So by public space, we're talking about exposure in places accessible to the general public, including roads, check.
Okay.
Retail stores, parks, restaurants. In fact, exposure in any place visible to the public is sufficient to satisfy this element of indecent exposure, including inside of a car, if it's visible to somebody outside.
Okay, so without proper tinting, I suppose?
Right.
Okay.
Now, the police action came after various social media platforms were flooded with eyewitness accounts, lots of photos as well, of a shirtless man and this bikini-clad woman riding on their motorcycle. But, however, you mentioned safety. They were both wearing helmets at the time.
See, that just doesn't add up to me.
Yeah.
Helmets and then the rest of your body's exposed. I don't understand. But it does look like they were doing it for a bigger reason from their really personal...
Yeah, the man said it was, a kind of a performance, actually. That's what they said. The man is a YouTube creator, in fact, with about 19,000 subscribers. He reportedly told the local media that he wanted to just show that riding a motorcycle could be a really freeing experience. And he also made sure to add that the speed was maintained at 20 to 30 kilometers per hour at the time. The woman is also a social media influencer. I checked this morning, she had 199,000 followers on Instagram. Not sure if she had that number before the incident or happened, because her social media account was, it's everywhere.
Right. Okay, so did this exposure make her a little bit more popular?
Exactly.
Talked about not necessarily favorably, but she and he, they're the talk of the town.
Yes. Now, police officials are currently reviewing the law regarding the case. I don't know. What do you think of this? Imagine if this happened, because I was having this conversation with a friend just yesterday. It's like, what if this happened in Busan, right next to the beach, or somewhere in Jeju?
Where narratively it makes a little bit more sense,
Right.
I think I would find a little less obscene. You're right. If it was a beach town, yes.
Yeah, they could have had a nice day on the beach, and
Right.
they're riding back home to their hotel. I don't know.
So this whole indecency, depending on where you are and the circumstances, does it change? That's a really good point. I have no idea.
But this was in the middle of Gangnam, and a lot of people, some people said, "Oh my God, go girl, go guy."
Okay. And do you?
Yeah, do you? But
Essentially.
others like, "Oh, that's so unnecessary."
Yeah. I don't know. Personally, I grew up in the state of California. People are wearing bikinis in all kinds of places.
Yeah.
And so maybe I'm a little bit desensitized in that sense. But can I go back to the safety issue?
Yeah. I agree with you.
I don't know what kind of message you're sending out to your apparently thousands of followers.
I know.
All right. Food for thought, anyone? If you have 2 cents, let us know.
Yes.
And on to our last buzzword today. A body cam has captured Arizona police officers rescuing women in trapped floodwaters. Of course, we saw flash floods in different parts of the United States, but there was also flood in the state of Arizona.
Yes, exactly. In Apache Junction, actually, the residents were forced to go through a whole lot of aftermath of extensive flooding in the area over the weekend. The latest body camera video of a swift water rescue shows a really scary incident in which a woman is dangerously close to being swept away while still in her car.
Right.
And so what happened was her vehicle got stuck in mud after the rain, and then suddenly there was a flash flood. The water quickly surrounded her and her vehicle, pushed her car backward actually, really fast. And then the car ended up hitting a tree, which basically saved her life. She called 911, explained her situation to the dispatchers. Eventually they found her, and one rescuer broke her back window, and he sounds so desperate, he's almost begging her to help them get her out of the car.
Right.
And it seems like at the time the woman is refusing to cooperate because she could be heard asking the rescuers to get to her dog first.
Right, rescue the dog first. A puppy apparently that went missing during this whole schmeal of the incident while she was waiting for the 911 rescuers to arrive on the scene.
And the rescuers were so desperate. They say they can be heard saying, "Oh, we'll get to your dog. Just get out now."
Right.
And they ended up rescuing the woman, and she was okay, but the dog is still missing. The woman's granddaughter have posted, on Facebook saying, "Please help us find my mother's dog."
Okay.
Apparently, the woman adopted the dog recently because she says it's finally my time to be happy in life.
Right.
Adopted this 11-week-old puppy. And she rarely takes the dog out in her car.
Okay.
And this was that fateful day when she did. And she felt, she's heartbroken that she couldn't help the dog who gave her so much happiness in this time when, the dog needed the
Because
help.
from afar, it's really easy for us to judge based on that headline, right? A woman being rescued, refusing to be rescued before her dog. Is that, priorities necessarily aligned? But there's a whole story there. So there you have it.
Yes.
I've got to hand it to the rescuers, though, because given the circumstances, they were calm and they got the job done.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Erica.
Pleasure.
Fun conversation. I'll see you tomorrow.
Stay dry. See you tomorrow.
If you're listening to our program using the podcast service, just a reminder that we do go live Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Korea Standard Time. So tune in and help us make the show more informative by giving us your input. See you bright and early on Good Morning Seoul.